There comes a time in every person's life when they have to face a truth that shakes their comfort, a truth that pierces through illusions. No one is your friend. Not in the way you wish, not in the way you rely on, and not in the way you expect. This isn't about becoming cold. This isn't about isolating yourself. This is about waking up to reality, a reality that once you embrace it makes you unstoppable. Life changes the moment you stop outsourcing your strength. Most people don't even realize they've spent their entire lives leaning on someone else's shoulder, waiting for approval, waiting for a push, waiting for someone to carry them when they should be walking on their own. They depend on friends, family, mentors, or society to validate their worth, to tell them what they can or cannot do. And when that validation doesn't come, they feel lost, weak, and abandoned. But true power is born the day you decide that you no longer need anyone to hold you up because you've built the foundation inside yourself. That's the moment when you stop being fragile and start becoming unstoppable. Stop. Think about how many times you've held back because you were waiting for someone to join you, support you, or believe in you first. How many dreams have been delayed because you wanted reassurance? How many opportunities have slipped away because you didn't want to take that step alone? The harsh truth is, no one is obligated to give you strength. No one owes you their belief. People are too busy fighting their own battles. If you keep waiting for someone to hand you confidence, you'll spend your entire life waiting. The real shift happens when you decide right here and now that you will stop depending on anyone to build what only you can build. Strength isn't something that appears magically when people applaud you. It's forged in silence, in moments of doubt, in moments when you're the only one standing in your corner. Those moments that feel the heaviest, when you look around and no one seems to care, are the exact moments that shape you. When you stop depending on others and turn inward, you tap into something far more powerful than external support: self-reliance. You stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. You stop looking for permission to grow and start commanding your own evolution. This isn't easy. The human mind craves connection, approval, and reassurance. It's natural to want support. But when that craving becomes a dependency, it becomes a chain. That chain keeps you from making bold moves. It keeps you from walking into the unknown. It keeps you from becoming the person you were meant to be. When you build your strength within, you break those chains one by one. You stop needing everyone to agree with you before you act. You stop needing everyone to cheer for you before you take the first step. You stop giving the keys to your destiny to people who might never show up when you need them most. True strength is a decision. It's the decision to back yourself when no one else does. It's the decision to keep going even when your friends disappear, when your support system collapses, when no one texts, calls, or shows up. It's standing in front of a wall of doubt and saying, "I'm still moving forward." That's the moment when you transform. Not because someone gave you permission, but because you gave it to yourself. There will be moments when the silence is deafening, when you look around and realize that all the people who said they'd be there for you are nowhere to be found. That's the moment most people break. But it's also the moment the strongest people are born. Instead of collapsing, they build. Instead of begging for attention, they create focus. Instead of blaming others for not showing up, they double their efforts. That's what separates the ones who dream from the ones who achieve. They understand that their strength was never supposed to come from outside. It was always supposed to come from within. When you stop depending on others for strength, you begin to view challenges differently. Obstacles are no longer proof that you're alone. They become opportunities to grow. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every silence becomes motivation. Every doubt becomes fuel. You stop feeling sorry for yourself and start building a fortress inside your mind. You realize that every skill, every ounce of discipline, every bit of resilience you build can never be taken away by anyone. It becomes yours forever. No betrayal, no disappointment, no abandonment can strip away what you've built internally. Imagine waking up one day knowing that no matter what happens, you can rely on yourself. Imagine facing problems without waiting for someone to save you. Imagine walking into uncertainty with calm confidence, knowing that your strength doesn't depend on who's standing beside you. That kind of power is unshakable. It's not arrogant, it's self-trust. It's the understanding that your greatest ally has always been the person in the mirror. And the moment you fully embrace that, you become immune to the emotional roller coaster of other people's presence or absence. There's a deep sense of peace that comes when you stop depending on others for strength. You stop being hurt every time someone lets you down. You stop being surprised when people prioritize their lives over yours. You stop resenting others for not understanding your struggles. Instead, you take that energy and invest it back into yourself. You start developing skills. You start building discipline. You start creating habits that make you stronger every single day. While others complain about who wasn't there for them, you're busy becoming someone who doesn't need anyone to carry them. This isn't about pushing people away. It's about changing the foundation of your strength. When your strength comes from within, relationships stop being a necessity for survival and start being a choice. You no longer cling to people out of fear. You choose to connect from a place of power, not dependency. You build connections that are genuine because you don't need them to complete you. You're already whole. And ironically, that's when you attract stronger, more meaningful relationships because people are drawn to strength, not desperation. Every person who has achieved something extraordinary has gone through moments where they were alone, moments where they had no one to rely on but themselves. Those moments weren't curses, they were crucibles. They burned away weakness and built strength that couldn't be shaken. When you stop depending on others, your setbacks stop defining you. Your self-doubt stops paralyzing you. Your fear of being alone transforms into the power of independence. Look back at your life. How many times did you think you couldn't handle something, but you did? How many times did you think you needed someone, but you survived anyway? Those are the moments that prove your strength has always been inside you. It was never about others giving it to you. It was about you recognizing it. Stop diminishing yourself by believing that your power depends on someone else showing up. You've shown up for yourself more times than anyone ever has. That's proof enough that you can do it again. The journey of becoming self-reliant is not about never accepting help. It's about never needing it to define your worth. When help comes, you welcome it. When it doesn't, you keep moving. Your progress is no longer held hostage by who supports you and who doesn't. You become emotionally bulletproof. People can walk in and out of your life, and your mission remains steady. Your energy doesn't fluctuate based on others' involvement. You become the rock in your own storm. The moment you stop depending on others for strength is the moment you reclaim your power. You stop handing out the keys to your emotions, your goals, and your future. You become the one who decides how far you'll go. And the most beautiful part, when you build your strength within, no one can ever take it away from you. It's yours. Forever. Most people walk through life with a silent expectation that others will think the way they do, feel the way they do, prioritize the way they do. They build their emotional world around an assumption that people care as much about their dreams, their struggles, their path as they do themselves. But the reality is, every person is the main character in their own story. Everyone wakes up each day thinking about their own challenges, goals, insecurities, fears, and desires. And while they may care for you in moments, their primary focus will always be their own life. When you understand this deeply, not just intellectually but emotionally, you stop being blindsided by disappointment. You stop holding others to expectations they were never meant to fulfill. You stop expecting them to carry the same weight for your journey that you must carry yourself. This shift isn't about becoming bitter, it's about becoming clear. When you accept that people are driven by their own priorities, you stop expecting them to constantly align with yours. You stop waiting for them to put your dreams first. You stop feeling hurt when they don't show up the way you imagine. The reason so many people feel let down repeatedly is not because others intentionally betray them, but because they assign roles to people that those people never agreed to play. You give someone the role of lifelong supporter, unwavering friend, partner in every battle, but in reality, they're living a completely separate story with their own plot lines, conflicts, and focus points. When you finally see that, it doesn't make you lonely, it makes you wise. Think about the moments in your life when you expected someone to be there, to understand your struggle, to make your mission theirs. Maybe you poured your heart into a dream, believing others would naturally be just as excited or committed. But when their actions didn't match your expectations, it felt like betrayal. The truth is, it wasn't betrayal. It was reality revealing itself. People's actions are guided by what's urgent and important to them, not what's urgent and important to you. If their priorities don't match yours, that's not an attack. That's simply how life works. And when you accept this fully, something powerful happens. You stop taking things personally. When someone doesn't support your project, it's not necessarily because they don't care. It's because their mind is filled with their own responsibilities, fears, deadlines, and dreams. When someone doesn't respond the way you hoped, it doesn't always mean they're against you. It often means they're consumed by their own world. If you constantly interpret others' lack of involvement as personal rejection, you create unnecessary emotional pain. But when you see it through the lens of priorities, you set yourself free. You stop demanding that others revolve around your world. You allow them to be who they are while you stay focused on what matters to you. This understanding is essential if you want to build resilience, because the journey toward any meaningful goal will always have stretches where you're walking alone. If your motivation depends on how much attention or help you get from others, you'll collapse the moment they become busy with their own lives. But if your motivation is anchored in your own clarity and discipline, their shifting focus won't derail you. You'll keep going because you never expected them to carry your burden in the first place. When you start to accept that people's priorities are different, your relationships also become healthier. You stop resenting others for not meeting unrealistic expectations. You stop holding silent grudges when they don't give you the attention you wanted. You stop manipulating or guilt-tripping them to behave a certain way. Instead, you begin to communicate clearly, set realistic boundaries, and appreciate what they genuinely offer without demanding more. Ironically, this clarity strengthens bonds because it removes invisible pressure. People feel freer to support you in ways they actually can, not ways you forced upon them. The greatest misunderstandings often come from expecting others to just get it. But no one will ever fully understand your vision the way you do. No one will feel the urgency of your dream burning inside your chest like you do. And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. Your vision was given to you, not them. Your fire is yours to tend. If you wait for everyone else to match your intensity, you'll be waiting forever. The people around you are not obstacles. They're simply focused on their own lives. The moment you stop fighting that reality, you reclaim the energy you used to waste on frustration. Imagine how much progress you could make if you stopped being emotionally drained by unmet expectations. Imagine channeling that energy into action, growth, and persistence. Every time you feel hurt because someone didn't prioritize your dream, remind yourself they have their own story. And just like you're not obligated to live according to their plans, they're not obligated to live according to yours. This isn't coldness, it's emotional maturity. It's recognizing the independence of every individual and learning to thrive within it. This perspective also makes you more compassionate. When you understand that others are guided by their priorities, you stop labeling them as selfish. You start seeing their humanity. You realize that just as you're fighting silent battles, they are too. Just as you have goals keeping you up at night, they have their own. And this doesn't weaken your stance. It strengthens it. Because instead of wasting energy on feeling abandoned, you channel that energy into your mission while respecting theirs. There will be times when you need support and no one shows up. There will be times when you expect people to cheer for you, and they stay silent. There will be times when you look around and realize that everyone is too busy with their lives to pay attention to yours. If you don't understand this dynamic, those moments will crush you. But if you accept it, those moments won't even shake you. You'll keep moving, not because others are pushing you, but because you've taken full responsibility for your journey. Every successful person learns this lesson eventually. The world doesn't rearrange itself to accommodate your dreams. You have to carve your path regardless of who joins you along the way. Some people will walk with you for a while, others will cheer from afar, and many won't even notice. But none of that determines whether you succeed. What determines it is your ability to keep going even when their priorities pull them elsewhere. This understanding also prevents you from misplacing trust. Many times, people feel betrayed not because someone actually turned against them, but because they expected a level of involvement that was never realistic. When you stop expecting others to prioritize you above their own lives, you stop setting yourself up for unnecessary pain. You become more grounded. You take people as they are, not as you want them to be, and from that place you build alliances, not dependencies. The beauty of accepting that people are guided by their own priorities is that it pushes you to take ownership. You stop outsourcing your drive. You stop saying things like, if only they supported me, I'd succeed. You stop using others as a crutch. Instead, you build a life where their support is appreciated, but not required. You create momentum that doesn't rely on external factors. You stop blaming the world for not rearranging itself to suit you, and that's when real growth begins. The reality is, everyone is doing the best they can with the energy, time, and emotional capacity they have. Some will show up for you in moments, and that's beautiful. But no one will carry your vision for you day after day, year after year. That's your responsibility. Your life is your responsibility. Your dream is your responsibility. And the sooner you embrace this truth, the faster you'll stop being thrown off by others' shifting focus. It's liberating to stop expecting the world to orbit around you. Because when you do, you stop being disappointed every time someone doesn't meet a silent expectation. You stop interpreting their absence as lack of love. You stop building resentment where there should be understanding. You stop wasting time wishing people would act differently. And start acting decisively yourself. Every time you face a moment when someone doesn't prioritize your needs, remind yourself it's not about you. It's about their life. And you have the power to keep moving regardless. That's real strength. That's real clarity. That's the mindset that turns obstacles into stepping stones and silence into fuel. When you fully accept that people are guided by their own priorities, you stop resisting reality and start mastering it. You stop chasing support and start leading your path with confidence. And when you lead like that, the right people align. Not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it. There comes a point in your journey when you realize that freedom doesn't come from the promises of others, from their approval, or from their loyalty. Real freedom begins when you stop expecting anyone to stand beside you unconditionally and start stepping into the role of the leader of your own mission. It's the moment you stop waiting for reassurance and start making decisions with conviction. It's the moment you stop hoping that others will fight your battles and start becoming the warrior of your own destiny. This isn't about pride, it's about responsibility. It's about finally taking ownership of everything that happens in your life, good or bad, and understanding that the only person truly accountable for your future is you. For most people, their emotional state is tied to what others do or don't do. If people support them, they feel strong. If people disappear, they feel weak. If friends cheer for them, they move forward. If friends stay silent, they doubt themselves. That's a fragile way to live. Because when your strength depends on the loyalty of others, your stability can be shattered at any moment. But when you lead your own mission, your confidence doesn't fluctuate based on who's around. You move forward regardless. You stop looking sideways and keep your eyes locked on your path. Expectations are what keep people stuck. They wait for someone to invest in them, to encourage them, to make them feel worthy. They live as if their destiny is a group project where everyone has to agree before they can act. But life doesn't wait for a unanimous vote. Your dreams don't get built by committee. If you keep waiting for loyalty, for perfect support, for the right people to show up and stick around, you'll waste years. Some will support you at the start and leave later. Some will cheer loudly for a moment and then disappear into their own lives. Some will never understand why you're doing what you're doing. But none of that determines whether you succeed. What determines it is whether you stop expecting and start leading. When you decide to lead your mission, something inside you changes. You stop seeking constant validation. You stop begging people to understand you. You stop explaining your every move to those who don't see your vision. Instead, you start acting decisively. You trust yourself to make the call. You trust yourself to figure it out. You trust yourself to take the hits and keep going. That's real freedom, when your direction doesn't depend on the loyalty or approval of anyone else. This mindset shift is powerful because it removes emotional chains. When you expect loyalty from people and they don't deliver, you feel betrayed. You start questioning your worth, your path, your purpose. But when you stop expecting it, betrayal loses its sting. Disappointment loses its weight. You understand that people's involvement will ebb and flow, and you don't build your mission on something that's unstable. You build it on your commitment, your grit, your unwavering clarity. You no longer place your dreams in someone else's hands. You hold them firmly in your own. Think about how many dreams have died because someone expected unwavering loyalty. Someone starts something great, and when their circle doesn't support them the way they hoped, they give up. They interpret silence as failure. They confuse people's absence with proof that their vision isn't worth pursuing. But the truth is, the greatest missions are built in silence. They're built in the moments when no one is clapping. They're built in the moments when no one believes except you. When you stop expecting others to carry you, you learn to carry yourself. And when you carry yourself, you become unstoppable. Leading your mission also means being willing to walk alone when necessary. Most people avoid solitude because they think it's a sign of failure or lack of support. But solitude is where clarity grows. It's where you hear your own voice without interference. It's where you learn to rely on your instincts, your discipline, your vision. When you no longer expect loyalty, walking alone isn't a burden, it's a privilege. Because you realize that your mission is too important to be dependent on the inconsistency of others. You walk alone not because you're isolated, but because you're focused. Freedom from expecting loyalty also brings a new level of power in relationships. You stop attaching people to conditions they never signed up for. You stop silently resenting them for not being what you imagined. You let them be who they are, and you choose your path anyway. You no longer manipulate, guilt, or pressure people to stay. You don't beg them to prove their loyalty. You lead, and those who are meant to align with you will align naturally. And if they don't, you keep moving without bitterness. That's strength. When you lead your mission, loyalty becomes a gift, not a requirement. You appreciate it when it's there, but you don't crumble when it's not. You stop being emotionally dependent on people's presence. You're grateful for support, but your progress doesn't rely on it. You move with or without the applause. And ironically, that's when real loyalty starts to form. Not forced loyalty, but organic loyalty. People are drawn to those who don't need them to function. They're drawn to leaders who inspire through action, not demands. Leading your own mission means taking full accountability for every outcome. You stop blaming others for holding you back. You stop blaming your lack of support for your lack of progress. You stop pointing fingers when things don't go as planned. You take the responsibility squarely on your shoulders. And from that position of ownership, you gain control. Because as long as you blame others for your stagnation, you give them power over your destiny. But when you own it, you hold the power to change it. It's not easy to let go of the expectation of loyalty. It requires maturity. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to stand in uncertainty without the comfort of others holding your hand. But once you make that shift, you'll notice something incredible. You become emotionally unshakable. People can leave, and you'll keep building. People can misunderstand, and you'll keep moving. People can doubt you, and you'll keep believing. You become a force of nature, not because people are loyal to you, but because you are loyal to your vision. The world is full of people who give up the moment their circle stops cheering. They confuse the absence of loyalty with the absence of possibility. But the truth is, your mission doesn't need universal support. It needs unwavering leadership. Your leadership. When you step into that role, every excuse disappears. You stop saying, "They didn't help me," and start saying, "I found a way." You stop saying, "They left me," and start saying, "I kept going." That's the mindset of someone who builds something unshakable. Leading your mission also means making hard choices that others may not understand. You'll have to say no to things that look appealing, but don't align with your vision. You'll have to walk away from people who aren't walking in the same direction. You'll have to stand firm in moments where others want you to compromise. But because your direction doesn't depend on their loyalty, you won't hesitate. You'll make the call with confidence because you know what you're building and why. Freedom comes when you stop expecting people to be loyal to your journey and start being fiercely loyal to it yourself. When your loyalty to your mission surpasses your need for anyone else's loyalty, you become unstoppable. You stop drifting with the currents of other people's moods, opinions, and involvement. You become the anchor. You set the direction. You decide the pace. And others either align or step aside, but they don't control your movement anymore. This kind of leadership is rare, and that's why it's powerful. Most people want to be led, not lead. They want to be supported, not stand alone. But the ones who lead their mission create movements, not just moments. They inspire not through their demands, but through their unwavering example. When you lead like this, the right people show up, not because you expected them to, but because your energy, clarity, and commitment attract them naturally. At the end of the day, no one owes you loyalty. No one is required to stand beside you forever, but you owe it to yourself to stand for your vision until it becomes real. You owe it to yourself to keep going even when no one believes. You owe it to yourself to stop expecting others to lead your life and step fully into that role. Because once you do, no betrayal, no silence, no abandonment can stop you. You'll keep moving. You'll keep rising. And in time, your mission will become undeniable, not because everyone stayed loyal, but because you did.